The Giggler Treatment by Roddy Doyle. This is a fantastically fun read. I highly recommend that you consider picking it up for the Christmas holidays. Parents, teachers, grandparents, you will have so much fun reading it to the special young people in your life. Come on in, friends. Make yourself comfortable. The Giggler Treatment by Roddy Doyle, and it's a chapter book. Chapter 1. Mr. Mac was walking to the train station. It was a nice sunny morning. The birds in the trees were singing their favorite songs, and the breeze that blew was full of breakfast smells. I love breakfast smells. Bacon, eggs, frog's legs, and cabbage. Cabbage? Yum, said Mr. Mac to himself. Mr. Mac was feeling happy. Mr. Mac was feeling very happy. He had a nice lunch in his lunchbox and a surprise in his flask. And his children's goodbye kisses were still tickling his cheeks. He was going to work and he liked his job. Actually, Mr. Mac loved his job. He was a biscuit tester in a biscuit factory. It was his job to make sure that the biscuits had the right amount of chocolate, if they were supposed to have chocolate. And he measured them to make sure that they were exactly square, if they were supposed to be square, or exactly round. You guessed it, if they were supposed to be round. Best of all, he tasted them. Not all of them. He tasted 3 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon, to make sure that they tasted exactly right. He was looking forward to work because today he was going to be testing his favorite biscuits of all time, fig rolls. The factory made 365 types of biscuits, a different biscuit for every day of the year. Mr. Mac liked most of these biscuits and he loved some of them, but fig rolls, always came to the top of his list. He loved their shape, he loved their smell, he loved their intelligence? They were such clever biscuits. They were delicious without needing any help from chocolate. Oh, I get it. And today was a fig roll testing day, so Mr. Mac was one happy man. But on his way to the station, just after he turned the corner, he saw a seagull sitting on the branch of a tree. Do you know what, mister, said the seagull? I hate fish. I didn't know seagulls could perch in trees, said Mr. Mac. He kept walking, but he looked back to have another look at the seagull. And this was a pity because he didn't see the dog poo right in front of him on the footpath. Poor Mr. Mac. His shoe was heading straight for the poo. Chapter 2. So what? Yes, so what? People stand on dog poo all the time. Even dogs stand on dog poo now and again. But it was huge. It was a big pile of wet, fresh dog poo. It was probably the biggest pile of dog poo in the world. Big dog, big poo. So what? I'm bored. I'm going to skip a few pages and see if there's any more about biscuits. Wait. The story isn't about biscuits and it isn't about poo. The story's about the people who put the poo on the path so that Mr. Mac would stand on it. People putting poo on a path? People who put it there? It was dog poo, so it came out of a dog, right? So a dog stopped on the path outside the train station. He stayed there for a little while and left the poo before he ran away. Right? Wrong. It was dog poo, but it wasn't a dog that put it there. And this story is about the little people who did put it there just 10 seconds before Mr. Mac turned the corner. Who would put dog poo in the middle of a path? Maybe it was an owner that didn't pick up. Look at this, chapter 3 already. 4 steps, 3 steps, 2 steps. Mr. Mac had seen enough of the seagull. He was going to turn around in plenty of time to see the poo, but the seagull spoke again. Fish, said the seagull. Don't talk to me about fish. 4 steps, 3 steps, 2 steps, 1. Mr. Mac's left foot was right over the dog stuff. Eee! The bottom of his shoe was exactly 16.5 inches from the peak of the poo. Uh-oh. Then Mr. Mac thought he heard giggles, and he was right. He heard giggles like this. Giggle, giggle, giggle. The poo was in the middle of the path. The path was beside a garden wall, and the gigglers were on the other side of the wall, hidden behind it. There were 3 of them. They were all standing on the crossbar of the rusty old bike that had been leaning against the wall for more than 20 years. The bike was so old it had almost become part of the wall. The gigglers had watched Mr. Mac as he got nearer to the poo. They had counted the steps. How many? 4. How many now? 3. How many now? 2. They heard the seagull talking to Mr. Mac. They ducked behind the wall as Mr. Mac walked right up to the poo. How many now? 1. They waited. Now, says the chapter that isn't really a chapter because nothing really happens in it, but we'll call it chapter 4. Nothing happens in this chapter, but some of the questions that are probably hopping around your heads get answered like this one. Why? Why what? Why did the gigglers put the poo in the path? Good question. They did it because something Mr. Mac had done the night before. He was walking to the train station. But I'll tell you all about it later because these chapters where nothing happens get boring very quickly. Now back to the story. Okay, I'm going to do one more. Chapter 5. Chapter 5, which should probably be called Chapter 4, but let's just call it Chapter 5. Back at the train station, the gigglers waited. They waited for the wallop, Mr. Mac's hitting the poo. They waited for the squelch, Mr. Mac stepping down into the poo. They waited for the gasp, Mr. Mac seeing the poo for the first time. They waited for the groan, Mr. Mac seeing that most of the poo was now on his shoe. His shoe was now very close to the new you-know-what. How close? Said the tiniest giggler. 14.75 inches, said the biggest giggler. That's very close, said the middle-sized one. And she shoved her fist into her mouth to trap her giggles. And they waited. Do you think he's gonna step in the poo?